Hello, ako po si Paterno S. Makel at ito ang Rappler Talk. Unti-unti na nating nakikilala ang mga miyembro ng gabinete sa ilalim ni President-elect Rodrigo Duterte at ngayon kasama natin sa Rappler Newsroom ang isa sa kanila, si incoming Foreign Secretary Perfecto Yasay Jr. Pag-uusapan natin ang mga isyu katulad ng West Philippine Sea, pati na mga overseas Filipino workers. Maraming salamat po sa pagpunta dito, Secretary Yasay.
At ako rin ay nasisiyahan na naimbitahan ko niyo dito. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat na nakikinig sa atin.
Secretary Yasay, first of all, kailan niyo po unang narinig na kayo po yung gagawing DFA Secretary?
Nung araw na in-announce ni President-elect Duterte na ako'y kinukonsidera niya magiging Secretary of Foreign Affairs, 30 minutes before that.
30 minutes before that?
Ako'y nasa Bacolod at inaatupag ko yung isang legal case na hinahawakan ko sa korte doon. Tapos tumawag sa akin yung kanyang executive assistant at sinabi kung ako ba papayag na i-consider ni President-elect Duterte bilang magiging Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Ako'y nabigla. Kaya sinabi ko, basta't sasabihin ko lang okay na i-consider niya ako at i-announce niya yun. Pero pag-iisipin ko ng gusto yan, bibigyan niyo ako ng pagkakataon.
Narinig ko sa isang interview, tinanong niyo rin, bakit? Bakit kayo?
Well, hindi ko natanong yan sa pagtawag noon.
Yeah.
Mayroon lang later on nagtanong sa akin bakit akong pinili, kung ano ang aking karanasan at kakayanan. At sinabi ko ay maganda siguro ay itanong niyo kay President-elect Duterte kung bakit niya ako pinili. Pero mayroon din akong karanasan na sa international scene, international relations and negotiations, no? Dahil yung ako yung naging chairman o tagapamuno ng Securities and Exchange Commission. Marami akong mga international conferences na pinag-aatinan sa iba't ibang parte ng mundo. At nakipag-negotiate sa mga other securities market, mga autoridades ng securities market elsewhere, no? Para kung paano namin makakaroon ng mutual cooperation, raising the standards of securities market regulation. Salita rin ako sa mga international fora, kagaya ng United Nations, on the Philippine or the Asian crisis noon. Hiningi nila yung aking mga opinion, aking mga recommendations and all of these things.
Sir, tumulong kayo sa pagkakampanya kay Mayor Duterte, tama po ba? Doon po sa pagtulong nyo na yun, sumagi ba sa isip nyo kahit minsan na pwede sa akin tong DFA?
Hindi. Tinulungan ko si President-elect Duterte dahil ako'y naniniwala sa kanya, pero wala akong inisip na bibigyan niya ako ng posisyon sa gobyerno dahil hindi natin hangad yun eh.
Sa buong buhay niyo, naisip niyo bang kayo mapupunta dito sa DFA?
Hindi, pero babanggitin ko na rin na nung ako'y tumakbo bilang Vice Presidente under kay Brother Eddie Villanueva at kami nag-uusap, one of those rare moments na nag-uusap kami ng ano kayong mangyayari kung mananalo tayo. Binanggit sa akin ni Brother Eddie na kung anong gusto kong magiging kabinete kung sakaling palaring kaming manalo. At sinabi ko, well, ako'y galing sa Securities and Exchange Commission, so maganda siguro sa akin yung Department of Trade kasi yun ang aking area of experience sa gobyerno. But nagulat ako, sinabi niya sa akin na hindi, yung estilo mo, yung iyong tactfulness, yung hindi madaling ma-excite at yung ability mo na to reach out at ipag-negotiate, maganda siguro sa'yo maging Secretary of Foreign Affairs. So, napatawa ko, sabi ko, Brother Eddie, malayo sa akin yan.
Sir, naging chairman kayo ng Securities and Exchange Commission. Kayo din nag-abogado rin kayo sa New York, dito sa Pilipinas. Itong mga posisyon na hinawakan nyo sa gobyerno, sa private sector, tingin nyo paano lahat ito ngayon makakatulong sa inyo bilang DFA Secretary?
Palagay ko, makakatulong ng malaki. alam mo naman yung unang-una, yung knowledge mo, yung experience mo, yung international experience mo dahil dito, ay talagang napakahalaga yan sa trabahong magiging Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Yung pagka-abogado ko na lang at yung aking konting nalalaman sa international law, international relations ay very helpful din yan. No? So, in fact, yung bilang akong yung panahon ng aking nagiging student ako, no, I was a student leader, na elect ako bilang Vice President of the World Alliance of YMCAs. Alam niyo ng YMCAs, napakaraming may refugee work pa kami dyan sa Vietnam noon. Meron kaming inter-movement cooperation, international understanding. I was exposed to all of these student conferences, and I went to even remote places like Uganda, South America, Bolivia, no? Practically all parts of the world when I was a student. So ito nakakatulong din. Yung karanasan ko dito ay nakakatulong din. I met people, learned their culture, understood their needs, their aspirations, victims of war like the Vietnam War and so on. Very helpful ito sa aking karanasan ngayon.
Sir, interesting yung sinabi sa inyo ni Brother Eddie Villanueva na kayo daw napaka-tactful, napaka-diplomatic ng inyong approach. Meron ba kayong maaalalang pangyayari, experience niyo nung kayo nasa SEC, nung kayo ay nasa private practice na palagay ninyo talagang naipakita niyo yung pagiging tactful na yan, yung pagiging diplomatiko na yan?
Hindi na ako pupunta sa ganyang kalayo. Yung nalaman ng publiko na I'm being considered for the Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary, maraming lumapit sa akin na hindi lamang nag-congratulate pero nag-criticize sa akin. Mayroong isang Foreign Affairs Secretary, hindi ko nilang babanggitin yung kanyang pangalan. I met him by chance sa isang restaurant at wala man lang, no fanfare, no nothing at all. Paglapit niya sa akin, sabi niya, you are the least qualified to become Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Duterte should not have considered you. Ako naman, I just smiled at him. Well, thank you for your comments, your critical comments. This would be helpful in keeping me on track as I do my work. But if you'd really like to ask why, na pinili ako ni President-elect Duterte, tanungin mo siya. And then after that, siguro he realized that his words were not so tactful. Foreign Affairs Secretary pa naman siya dati. Paglapit ko sa kanya, when I left the place, I went to his table where he was dining with his friends. And I told him that, well, it was nice meeting you here. And then and then he said to me, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry if I'm so frank. No hurt feelings. Sabi ko, no, you don't hurt my feelings at all. I think only diplomats get their feelings hurt, but certainly not me. And I was saying it in a very nice, respectful manner. And no anger, no rancor. But I'm relating this to you only because you've asked me kung ano yung mga experience, how tactful I could get in so far as situations like this is concerned.
Baka naman, sir, joke lang. Hindi ba joke yung pagkakasabi niya?
Hindi joke. He was in fact angry. He was agitated. He was in fact annoyed.
And then kayo, anong composure, anong feelings yun nun?
Wala, dahil mayroon akong kausap na hindi niya naman kilala. At siyempre, embarrassing sa iyo yun, di ba? But in a situation like that, kailangan you don't complicate situations, di ba? Yeah, you try to find out. Baka naman, kasi opinion niya yun eh. Why should he not express his opinion? I'm very happy that he expressed his opinion on me.
Nagalit ba kayo? Nalungkot
Hindi
ba
ako
kayo?
Hindi ako nagalit. Yung mga taong doon sa restaurant na nakita nila yung incident na yun, sila ang medyo nag-startled. Pero no, I think it was a good thing na nangyaring ganon. And I guess these are all useful and helpful. This is an experience that you also learn from, and I'm sure he would learn from.
Pero sir, yun nga rin yung sunod ko sanang itatanong. Siyempre, maraming nagbabato sa inyo ng ganong paratang na wala naman kayong karanasan sa diplomasya, never naman kayong nakatuntong sa DFA talaga bilang opisyales. Ano pong reaksyon nyo doon?
Well, Marami nga nagsasabing kailangan career ang i-appoint. Pero as the head of the Foreign Affairs Department, more than just being a career person, experience is always the best teacher. And your entire experience that develops your character, the way you approach deal with problems, not to be excited, not to get angry right away, is more important than anything else. Kaya I have yet to see, even in other jurisdictions, na yung head ng Foreign Affairs Ministry, Department, or Secretary of State ng United States, there is no such thing as a career person insofar as assuming that highest position in the Foreign Affairs Department of that government, or any government for that matter. If there is any, it's very rare, because these are matters that the president gets to choose, or a person gets to choose on the basis of various considerations. And this is an unrestricted function of the president in politically appointing people that he finds suitable to handle the job.
Sir, bago kayo bago i-announce ni Mayor Duterte na kayo ang magiging DFA Secretary, ano yung image sa inyo ng DFA as an outsider?
Ako, even up to now, nakausap ko yung mga tao sa DFA, and even before, na from a perspective on the outside, nakikita ko ang Department of Foreign Affairs is one of the most, if not the most, professional department or agency of government. Hindi ka pwedeng magiging ambassador kung hindi ka dumaan ng Foreign Service examination. Incidentally, napakarami ng ating mga career officials sa Department of Foreign Affairs ay mga abogado. Magandang kwalifikasyon din ang pagiging abogado. Marami ring mga other courses na pinag-aralan. Mayroon nga mga military persons dyan, may background, who entered the Foreign Service and the like. And talagang nakikita mo, even the way they talk, very professional at saka very dependable in terms of doing their job. Of course, may mga exception, yung ating mga complaints about certain personnel ng Department of Foreign Affairs are more of an exception than the rule. Marami dyan, lalo na sa treatment ng ating overseas Filipino workers abroad, sa Middle East, no, even in Indonesia, in some parts of the world, there are basic complaints. Pero on the whole, nakikita ko na the Department of Foreign Affairs is the most professional, and for a good reason. The Secretary of Foreign Affairs, when he goes abroad, he represents the country. He represents the President of the Philippines.
Even when you speak?
Even when you speak, yeah. So you have to carry yourself in a professional manner. And professionalism in this instance is not gauged on the basis of whether or not you've passed the Foreign Service examination. It is more on the basis of your experience. You've learned even from your mistakes, and you've acquired all of the experiences that enable you to deal with complex situations and react to them without causing further conflicts or what do you call this, misunderstanding, but rather getting people, countries to solve differences in a peaceful, negotiated manner.
At bago yan, sir, syempre, ang ordinaryong tao, ang talagang karaniwang interaction natin sa DFA, passport. Kayo ba, nagre-renew naman kayo ng passport? Kamusta naman yung view ninyo dun sa mga services ng DFA?
Yan, marami pa tayong gagawin dyan. Although nakikita ko, nag-shift na yung ating Department of Foreign Affairs into tawag nilang electronic passports.
Kayo ba, sir, nung the last time kayong nagpa-renew, nahirapan ba kayo magpa-renew ng passport?
Ako, nagpa-renew ako in 2014.
2014.
Oo.
How was it?
At that time, buti lang nakilala ko, pumunta ako sa MOA doon sa consular office doon.
Sa ASEAN.
At mahaba yung pila, maraming tao. Pero nakita ko generally, very smooth yung movement at that time. Kaya lamang, may nakakilala sa akin, pag nakikilala, dati ako chairman ng SEC, so gano'n. Nabigyan ako ng assistance, kaya mas mabilis pa nga eh. But otherwise, before, wala ka nakikita ko na talagang much had to be done to make it more convenient, more pleasing for people to apply for their passports or renewal of their passports.
Sir, mag-rundown lang ako ng ilang mga issue na karaniwang hinaharap ng DFA Secretary. Una sa lahat, sir, yung West Philippine Sea dispute. Anong tingin nyo dito?
Alam mo, lalo na for me, while I'm familiar with the issues, alam na alam ko yung mga legal issues dyan, at mayroong policy ang present administration, mayroon silang strategic directions in pursuing this claim of ours under the United Nations Law of the Sea. Hinihintay na lamang natin yung magiging desisyon ng Arbitral Tribunal. Sa aking pananaw ay napakahalaga for everybody before they make any statements na mapag-aralan natin yung desisyon. Anong ibig sabihin ng desisyon? Kung anong ibig sabihin na tayo ay nanalo or tayo ay natalo, or anong ibig sabihin na nanalo yung China sa desisyon na yun. No? Hindi pa natin alam yan eh. Dahil kailangan mabasa natin. We should really fully understand and appreciate what the decision implies. Marami kasi mga nuances dyan eh. Sasabihin ng, alam naman natin na yung ating claim lamang ay the exercise of our rights to exclusively use the area as part of our economic zone, di ba? Yung 200-mile limit from our shore. Yeah, we can use this area for the purpose of exploiting the natural resources there, including mineral resources and so on. But we still should maintain that as international waters. It should be free for navigation. Yung freedom of navigation must always be recognized, and we must also ensure the maritime security of that place. We do not own the territory insofar as our claim in the UNCLOS court is concerned. Yun naman ang
We do
sinasabi
not own the waters,
we
but
do not
just
own
the
the
right to fish.
with the right only to explore and exploit the economic advantages of the resources in that place. Yung China naman, ang sinasabi, silang may-ari niyan. Dahil sa 9-dash line, wala tayong karapatan dyan. Kahit na anong sasabihin ng Arbitral Tribunal, hindi nila respetuhin. So, yung kanang claim, iba. Iba yung ating claim, at least yung dinala natin sa UNCLOS. Ngayon, sa akin, mahalaga yan na pag lumabas ang desisyon na sinasabi ng China ay hindi nila respetuhin, at tayo naman, hinahangad natin na kung it will be in our favor, re-respetuhin ng China. At kung it will be in favor of China, tayo naman ay we give them the assurance that we will fully respect it. Yet, dahil kung maintindihan natin kung ano yun ang nagiging desisyon, we will not raise the hopes of our people. Dahil sa aking pananaw ngayon, kung hindi natin napag-aralan yung UNCLOS, akala natin kung manalo tayo dyan sa issue na yan, atin yan. Yan ang feeling ng tao, di ba? Atin yan. Talo ang China dyan. But that is not really the case.
What is the case?
The case is really, if we win, we only have the right to use it. But if there are other claimants like China, Vietnam, Brunei, na posibleng mag-overlapping yung ating mga claims dyan, insofar as UNCLOS is concerned. Kasi it will also be within the 200-mile limit depending upon their possession or occupation of certain features in that area, then the road to implementing that decision is always through negotiation. Kailangan meron tayong kasunduan. Pwede tayong mag-jointly explore, kung yan ang magiging desisyon ng arbitral tribunal. Pag-aralan talaga natin mabuti yan before we will make any pronouncement. Huwag nating sasabihin, talo ng China yan. Kailangan pipersehan na natin ng China para sa atin na yan. With that, you close the opportunity for negotiations without even fully understanding what the case is all about.
Sir, interested lang ako dun sa phrase ninyo na do not raise the hopes of people. Kasi
Oh, yes.
2 times ko na yata narinig sa inyo yan from another interview also. Bakit po do not raise the hopes of people? Ibig ba sabihin kapag nanalo tayo, hindi tayo magbubunyi, hindi tayo matutuwa?
Hindi naman sa ganun. Kung manalo tayo, anong ibig sabihin ng nananalo? Di ba? Oh, even if we own, for instance, if we not own, but we occupy certain features, yung doon sa Spratly, yung Pag-asa Island, yung Pag-asa feature dyan, no? yung parang rock or island or shoal, tayong may occupation dyan. Anong ibig sabihin na nanalo tayo? Tayo bang may-ari niyan? Ang pagkakaalam ko, yung claim natin na final natin sa UNCLOS ay walang nagsasabi na we are not claiming that we are the owners of this place. We are the owners of the area that we occupy. We have not said that at all. This is not our submission before the arbitral tribunal. We are only saying that under UNCLOS, we have the right to exploit the natural resources in that area because it is part of our exclusive economic zone. And it is in conflict directly with what China is saying, that they own the place by historical right. That's why they have that 9-dash line. So, faced with that, nakikita natin na the end result is papaano natin makipagsundo sa China at sa other claimants how we will use and exploit that area.
So ang sinasabi po ninyo ay yung possible legal victory sa arbitral tribunal
Cannot
hindi
be
yun
what we have been made to understand in
hindi doon
layman's
natatapos
language.
ang lahat.
Yes, wala kasing enforcement arm ang korte, di ba? In other words, the only way for you to enforce the decision of the court is through negotiations. Magkasundo kayo, especially because dito sa ating sitwasyon na ito, mayroong overlapping claims. Yan ang intindi natin. We must not jump into the conclusion unless yun ang sinasabi ng desisyon ng korte na tayong may-ari niyan. Sa aking pananaw, hindi yan ang magiging desisyon ng UNCLOS dahil ownership of those feature over which one exercises sovereignty is not something that the arbitral tribunal can decide on.
Sir, useless po ba yung kaso natin laban
Hindi
sa China?
useless dahil nagiging basis, it becomes a legal basis upon which we can proceed with negotiations. Itong sinabi ng korte. Ito daw exclusive economic zone namin. Pero mayroon kayong ino-occupy diyan na sinasabi ng arbitral tribunal ay island. Kung island naman yan, without saying kung sino may-ari ng island na yan, you occupy it, it generates a 200-mile limit from the baseline of that island. So, makikita mo that there will be overlapping areas of the use of the place as part of the exclusive economic zone of the nation concerned. So, yung overlapping na yan, kailangan will be subject to our negotiation. People should not understand or jump into the conclusion na when they say we own or nanalo tayo, na tayo ang may-ari ng teritoryo na yan and we can do anything that we want.
So sir,
with the area na yan.
Para sa inyo, bakit napakahalaga na makipag-usap sa China?
Napakahalaga dahil unang-una ayaw natin yung ating saligang batas nagsasabi we renounce war as an instrument of national policy. Yung claim natin sa UNCLOS is not a claim that we are pursuing because we want to have an expansionist policy. In other words, yung ating saligang batas ay yun ang nag-dictate at limits our foreign relations with other countries, and we renounce war as an instrument of national policy. Anumang conflicts or differences that we have with other nations, we must always try to resolve it peacefully and through negotiations. That's why it's very important, dahil may conflict tayo sa China, insofar as that issue is concerned, we also have a conflict with other nations, insofar as that territory is concerned, that we must resolve it through negotiations.
Sir, syempre, alam ko nabasa nyo na rin yung mga ibang comment ng ibang tao tungkol sa mga ganitong statement ninyo at ni President-elect Duterte. May iba syempre yung nagkasabi na bilateral talks. Ano ito? Pinapamigay ba natin yung Pilipinas? Yung claim natin sa West Philippine Sea? Pinapamigay ba natin sa China? Tayo ba ay nag-give up na dahil inayawan na nga natin yung pakikipag-usap sa China? Tapos ngayon sasabihin natin ay mag-usap tayo. So, I'm sure na nakita nyo na yung ibang mga ganitong comment. How would you address those concerns of people?
Like giving up our claim?
Yeah, it's like giving up. For some people, it's like giving up our claim or saying the case is useless. How would you address that?
No, I don't think so. I don't, wala naman sigurong basehan ang isang tao magsabi ng ganyan. Why we should give it up in the interest of keeping peace with our neighbors? Hindi naman ganon. I mean, every country should realize that we have certain rights. Every country should realize that we are as free, as independent as the other. Everybody should recognize our sovereignty. And if there should be conflict, ang ibig lamang natin sabihin dito, we should try to resolve it through negotiations. But it does not mean that our case is weak. It does not mean that we should abandon our case because the other country we're dealing with is very strong. We don't want war with them. No. That is not what it means.
Is it within the realm of possibilities that we would shelve the tribunal, a possible favorable ruling by the tribunal, when we get that favorable ruling?
How's that again?
Is it possible that we would shelve it first?
Shelve it? No. No. We have to move forward. When the decision comes about, we must try every step and effort to move forward so that we can see through the enforcement or implementation of our claim and the declaration of our rights in accordance to our claim. But all I'm saying is that in moving forward, we should do this through peaceful negotiations.
Kayo po tumira rin kayo sa Amerika ng sandali, di ba? Mga 1.5 years.
Hindi lang yun. Panahon din ng exile years ng martial law. At ano din tayo doon, tumira rin tayo sa Amerika.
So, marami kayong nakilalang mga OFW. Ano po yung mga concerns nila na nakarating sa inyo noon as an outsider?
Yung basic problem ay talagang yung pag nagkakaroon ng kahirapan yung ating OFW. Even in the United States, no, sa New York, kasi practicing lawyer din ako noon, nakikita ko na yung response ng ating Philippine government through our consulate ay naging kulang, hindi sapat. Minsan nakikita ko napakaraming Pilipino na naranasan ko nahuhuli sa border, nahuhuli na illegal alien. Kulang yung kanilang representation. Totoo naman na pumunta sila doon para maghanap ng trabaho dahil nagiging economic refugee sila dito sa ating bansa, lalo na panahon ng martial law. Yun ang isang malaking problema na itong mga taong ito, when they find jobs there, they're able to help their families back home, nagpapadala ng pera. Ngunit kung sila na may nagkakaroon ng problema doon, ay kulang yung serbisyo na hinahanap at hinihingi nila sa ating pamahalaan. No?
So ngayon bilang incoming DFA Secretary, paano niyo po gustong tugunan yung mga ganyang concerns nila?
Gusto ko sana na yung ating consulate will be equipped in responding as fast as we could. Marami tayong experience kagaya nung Um, ito lang pending case ni Mary Jane Veloso sa Indonesia. Ah, pati na yung Pangulo ng Indonesia ay nagtataka kung bakit ngayon lang talaga tayo ang nagkaroon ng vigorous appeal for his case or her case na final na yung desisyon ng Korte Suprema nila doon at halos wala nang magawa yung kanilang Pangulo in terms of granting clemency. Pero yun ang nakapagtataka. Why is it na in many instances we get to know about these cases late in the hour?
We meaning...
The Philippine government.
all right.
Yeah, through our consulate. Well, hindi siguro madali ang magiging solusyon diyan. But my point is we've learned from many mistakes. Mayroon pa tayong mga Filipino workers doon or Filipinos doon sa ibang bansa in the Middle East, even in China, who are also facing death row or legal difficulties. Kulang din ang response natin. So some of them need money for their lawyers. Ito, napakahirap ng yung wala tayong sapat na preparasyon in terms of monetary assistance or legal assistance na maibigay sa kanila under this particular situation. Yung gera sa Middle East na many of them will have to flee, marami sa kanila ay nagkakaroon ng taking risks. They'd much rather stay in war-affected areas and face the risk of being in danger or getting into harm's way. Dahil kung babalik sila sa Pilipinas, ganun din ang mangyayari sila. It's a difficult life. They will not be able to really survive because of the harsh economic conditions that they face back home. So, nakikita ko that as Foreign Affairs Department, while it is our job to make sure that we are able to respond immediately in providing our overseas workers the necessary assistance that they would need, whether it is legal, whether it is transportation or such things, that because of the exigencies of the times, or if they're yung mga karapatan nila because they are exploited and things like this. And to me, more importantly, ang solusyon ng ating overseas Filipino workers is not there. It is here. They are economic refugees. We must therefore change the economic conditions here in our country to assure na itong mga Pilipinos na ito will not have or be forced to go abroad to look for jobs. Dito pa lamang sa Pilipinas, mayroon na silang sapat na trabaho. At saka yung oportunidad, the equal opportunities available to them, insofar as access to the resources of the country and also wealth-creating opportunities is available to them. So, yun ang magiging, I think, we should give focus on that dual approach. Let us not be comfortable in providing services to our Filipino workers by, for instance, improving their difficulties in renewing their passports or things like this and the other difficulties I mentioned earlier. We should not be comfortable with that because we might think that we may be doing a good job in that respect. We might even improve our services 100% to them there. But that is not solving the problem of our OFWs because the problem is here in our country.
And that goes beyond the jurisdiction of the DFA. You can be a coordinating body, is that?
Yes, in coordinating the services, in channeling the services, but more importantly, we must also be part of efforts in seeing through the changing of conditions here. At yan ang priority ng ginagawa ng ating Duterte administration ngayon. Ang sinasabi ni President-elect Duterte sa atin, while we must make sure that we address the problems of our OFWs that they face abroad and respond to these problems as quickly as we could, the more important thing is that we make change happen, and that change will happen here by changing the conditions that will no longer force them to go out
abroad to look for jobs.
Sir, interesting yung word na sinabi niyo, economic refugees.
Yes.
So, any country doesn't want refugees, right? So,
Well, there are some that really also need economic refugees, but these are the kind of jobs.
any source country wouldn't want to have their citizens become refugees.
That's correct. That is correct.
So,
We must improve the conditions here to prevent that from happening.
na hinihiling nyo ba sana na matigil na yung pag-alis dito ng mga Pilipino?
Yes, you cannot, and the only way to do that is to make the Philippine situation more attractive to them in terms of looking for jobs, in terms of having equal opportunities. Yeah.
Sir, last week si President-elect Duterte minura niya yung United Nations. How do you make sense of that?
I don't really think na minura niya yung United Nations because he has what do you call this, a dislike for the United Nations. I think he was responding to certain questions from the press that enabled him, or rather that probably made him react to certain disappointments and frustrations about what we want to do, and we could not do it, we could not succeed. He I guess was answering the questions of the reporters, and then some reporter just blurt out the word United Nations, and then things like that come in. This is precisely why we as members of the press, we should not capitalize on some people's propensity. No, we should not try to make people or when we see somebody prone to making mura as a habit, no, we force him into that situation when in fact he does not really mean these things. Alam mo, si President-elect Duterte is one guy who speaks in metaphor, who exaggerates. Sometimes he will say things to test out how you would react. No, so he is that kind of a person, and because of that, he can send his message or his words can be misunderstood, right? But I think this is something that he is trying to also change, and he has promised that he will be metamorphosing from a caterpillar to a butterfly, so things will be differently. I do not think, however, in response to your question, that our President-elect, Mayor Duterte, has said anything that shows a dislike for the United Nations. I don't think so, and I'm confident that if these statements were made off the cuff without meaning to articulate any particular policy, na hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yan as basihan na sasabihin niya, ay yan ang maging patakaran ng ating gobyerno under Mayor Duterte.
Sir, of course, the international media was interested in this story, and many people around the world are asking, how does the Duterte administration view the United Nations in the context of this statement that Mayor Duterte was quoted as saying, PI ka, UN, they can't even solve the conflicts in the Middle East, and they cannot even lift a finger to help the black people in Africa. So many people are interested to know, how does the Duterte administration view the United Nations?
I don't know. I mean, quite frankly, I have not seen that interview of Mr. Duterte where he uttered those remarks that you are saying now. But all I'm saying is that I know Rudy Duterte. I know him up close, and I know that when I do not have any basis to say on the basis of what I know that he has some negative feelings or grudges against the United Nations, for instance. I know that he is a respecter of human rights. I know that he is a believer of the country's role in making sure that the conditions of the people are always addressed to make their lives better. I know him to be that kind of a person. So I do not have any basis to say or to conclude on what he allegedly said, which I have not even heard or saw, to say what is his opinion about the United Nations or what his policy about the United Nations is going to be.
As incoming Foreign Secretary, how do you view the United Nations?
Oh, I think it is a very respectable, necessary international organization. We are active participants in the United Nations. We've had leaders who played a key role in the leadership of the United Nations. And I feel that the United Nations, notwithstanding its failures in achieving the kind of a success that the international community may have desired it would be able to succeed, still serves a very useful job and role in making sure that conflicts and tensions all over the world will not erupt into a war that we don't need, and that people will have a forum to articulate their views, express their ideas in trying to resolve conflicts and difficulties in a peaceful manner.
Sir, Mayor Duterte or President-elect Duterte was also quoted saying, criticizing the Australian ambassador, the U.S. ambassador for making a comment on his rape joke. And of course, we all know he once cursed Pope Francis, the head of Vatican City State. People are interested about these controversial statements of the president-elect. What do you think should the world know or learn or realize about President-elect Duterte in the face of all these controversial statements?
I think, you know, when Mayor Duterte made these statements, made these remarks, it was in the height of a campaign. And when he said these remarks, he said it in a very candid manner, expressing himself to his constituents, to the Filipino electorate in a language that they will understand, identifying with their frustrations, identifying with their anger. But this was the condition, this was the environment, and this is the nature of how we undertake our campaigns at the height of a political contest. So, ginawa ito ng ating mayor sa pagkakampanya para maintindihan ng tao. He felt with them. He was touching them in terms of making them see the difficulties that he had experienced as a mayor and how he addressed these difficulties. But when he said this as a joke, people considered it as a nasty joke. People consider this as something, a violation of women's rights and so on. But remember, he said this, made the remark over an incident that happened 10 years earlier or even longer. He said this without even expressing and the people knowing that more than saying that joke now, which he never said at that time it happened, he risked his life to save the life of that woman who was killed by those hardened criminals. So, you have to look at it at that situation. Now, sa akin naman, kung ikaw, you were the candidate, let me ask you, you said those remarks, and I am a supporter of your opposition, and I will say, oh, you violated human rights and this guy is a better candidate, as if suggesting that. Would you not be involving in the partisan political propaganda or campaign or speeches that is being said by your candidate? You see, this is the situation now. When foreign diplomats say these things, it might be correct for them to say it. I do not know, but prudence will dictate that they are seeing a political campaign being undertaken. These are not to mean as magiging policy directions or policy programs or a propensity to do something that is not in accordance with what they feel is right or proper or moral or ethical. Hindi ganon. Political campaign yan eh. Oh, there are other fora at which to address this thing without being misunderstood to mean na you are unnecessarily interfering in the political affairs, domestic partisan political affairs of the nation. Masama ba magmumura if you want to make sure that by doing so, you are driving a point that will be understood by the people? This is part of how Rudy wants to make the people feel that change is necessary, change is inevitable, and that the anger that he expresses is the kind of anger that our people faces, precisely to make sure that they will have no other option but to be ready to accept change.
Sir, mukhang isang malaking task ninyo bilang DFA Secretary, ganyan nga, magpaliwanag ng mga nagiging statement ni President-elect Duterte about...
Don't misunderstand me. Hindi ko pinapaliwanag itong statements ni Mr. Duterte. I am just trying to, I don't even have the authority to explain this for him, no?
Yeah.
And it is not my job to do that, you know? I'm just saying that if I were in the situation of Mr. Duterte, tactful as I might be, diplomatic as I might be, I could easily be provoked into saying these remarks if I see that it is not in accordance with what I feel should be done by people under the similar circumstances. So yun lang sinasabi ko, but I'm not explaining this for him at all.
Handa ba kayo, sir, na gawin yan tuwing kunyari merong ma-take out of context siya or ma-misinterpret sa mga statement niya tungkol sa ibang bansa or ibang international organization?
Ang trabaho ko is to assist the President in directing and orchestrating our foreign policy and our foreign relations. Our President is the sole person in this country who has the prerogative of doing that within the mandate of the Constitution and laws of the Republic. Yan ang trabaho ko. Yan. And I will have to articulate what he wants to say and what he intends to do in directing and orchestrating that policy. Yan ang trabaho ko.
Sir, may
But
kaunting
not to apologize for him.
Sir, may kaunting tanong lang galing sa mga nanonood sa atin. Galing kay Carlos Santamaria, are you open to reviving the joint marine seismic undertaking with China and Vietnam concerning the South China Sea?
Alam mo, I do not know and I am not familiar with the specifics of that joining. I mean, ito bang gusto ng China? Sino may gusto nito? Did we start this before? Hindi natin alam yan eh. I'm not personal privy to that. But if this is something that will help solve the conflict, solve our difficulties, by all means, let's do it, especially if we both agree to do it.
Sir, are there posts overseas that you think should be closed down to maximize the use of our limited resources?
Oh, yes. In fact, I understood from Secretary Almendras, who is now the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, that we are doing this in many countries in South America, in Africa, and maybe even in some posts in Europe where we can close down. Like, for instance, in certain areas, there are only 300 Filipinos that can be serviced by a contiguous, more populous area where you have more Filipinos. No? Yeah, I think we should study that, and I think a study is being made, and I think movements along that line are already being made by the Department of Foreign Affairs, which I would fully support.
Are you nervous about assuming the post of Foreign Secretary, given the public pronouncements of President Duterte?
I am challenged.
You are challenged.
Yeah.
In
But
what
I am
way?
not afraid. Yeah.
Because
And there is no reason to be nervous. Yeah.
because
Well, because it's an opportunity to serve the country. You have been given an opportunity to do something. And your initial reaction, the kind of person you are, is to make sure that you measure up to the tasks and do the very best you can, the very best you know how.
Sir, just wrapping up, what do you think would the Philippine foreign policy look like under President Duterte?
I think it will be pretty much the same. I mean, we are governed by the same constitution. Even under Mayor Duterte, it will be the same constitution that will be governing the directions of our national policy. So, one thing that we must make fully understand is that there must be a continuity of our foreign policy, and it cannot be subject to change. We are governed by the same principles behind the Constitution saying how we should direct our foreign policy. So I view our foreign policy under Duterte not to deviate from that directions by the Constitution. There might be some changes insofar as how we would address specific problems is concerned. There might be some changes insofar as the tact of how to address this problem is concerned, especially in the West Philippine Sea, maybe insofar as addressing the problems of overseas Filipino workers. But this will not change the overall foreign policy direction of our country, which is mandated by our Constitution. And it's important that our friends, our allies, even those who are our detractors would understand that we proceed on the basis of the very same underlying principles of justice, fairness, and freedom, even democracy, in carrying out our foreign policy.
What message do you want to send to China?
In what respect? I mean,
In respect of our dispute over the South China Sea.
I would just simply invite China to join us as we would join them in making sure that we will be resolving our conflicts and difficulties in a peaceful manner. We must exhaust everything we can to make sure that as neighbors we would live together in peaceful coexistence and probably be even proactive in performing such joint ventures for our mutual interests.
Sir, my last question. Ano po yung gusto ninyong iparating sa mga kababayan natin bilang incoming DFA Secretary?
Well, gusto ko lang ipaalam sa ating mga kababayan kung nasaan man sila naroon na ito ng pagkakataon ng pagbabago. Nakikita natin na yung ating Pangulo ay hindi natatakot na i-pursue o ipaglaban yung mga karapat-dapat na pagbabago kahit na hindi popular, kahit na kontrobersyal. Kung yan ang inaakala niya ang karapat-dapat sa ating bansa, gagawin niya. Dahil si Rudy Duterte, hindi niya ambisyon maging Pangulo to begin with. Pero ngayon na naging Pangulo siya, the only condition that he wants to do is to make sure that change will come. Change along the lines of making sure that the socio-economic and political structures that engender inequality will be dismantled.
Change is coming.
Change is coming. Yan ang promise ng ating President-elect, and I would hope that all of you will be part of that effort for change. Hindi natin kayang gagawin ito ng tayo lamang. Alam ko hindi kaya ni Mayor Duterte gagawin ito ng siya lamang. Ito ay tungkulin ng lahat ng Pilipino kahit nasaan man sila naroon.
Maraming salamat po, Secretary Yasay. Nakasama natin si incoming DFA Secretary Perfecto Yasay Jr. Ako po si Paterno Yasmakel. Maraming salamat at magkita-kita tayo uli.